So basically, here is the problem you're having, okay? When you look at this object here on its own, you see when you turn on the display normal option, nothing of course shows up, okay? Let's do the following and try and force it to display some normals. We're going to right click and then attributes point old, okay? And then of course there are several options here. You can just ignore them and just follow what I'm doing. And then where it says keep normal, we select add normal, okay? And then let's right click and delete channels to set them back to neutral. And then on the y-axis, enter a value of 1. Do you see what is happening now? I know it almost looks like one of those gas stoves with the smoke rising, okay? But this is nothing more than just showing you the way in which the normals are flowing on the mesh, okay? Now, these normals drive the way in which an object can be spread over, okay? To the point where when I'm here, okay, if we come here and play with any of these settings, you see what is happening? You see, this is what normals can do to any mesh. They completely control the way in which vertices are flowing. But of course, as you can see, no matter what we try, nothing is going well, okay? Because if you go to the normals here, you see this is now how they are pointing. Let me just delete the channels here or revert to defaults. Okay, so that means we have to do something much smarter than this. What needs to happen is that with all those points around the circle, oof, it's a mission even to draw a circle with a mouse. Okay, so think of this as a circle. Oh, this is terrible. Let me just make a new one. Okay, so let's say this was your circular shape. So these are all the dots lined up all around the circle. What actually has to happen is the following. Okay, so yeah, the normals have to flow like this, like a star, outwards or inwards. But whatever they do, they have to be pointing outwards or inwards, but with some sense of like as if they're coming out of a central location. You see, so we have to center the normals of our object, or else no matter what we tweak here, nothing is gonna work. All right, so how do we do that? All right, we are going to use it to create to make this based on an example. Okay, let's quickly create, let's say, a primitive of a tube. Yeah, it's fine. Or let's say a circle. Okay, if you can't see it here, just press Ctrl F to see. All right, and make it flat on the floor as well, like the object here that we're trying to fix, like this object here, the same direction. Okay, then we're going to make it a polygon. So right click, convert, where is it? Sorry, utility, and convert to a polygon. Okay, whatever settings we are going to do here, we are going to simply copy the values onto this one because they're basically the same shape, okay, which are both circular, of course. All right, so this is the, of course, you can clearly see the direction of the normals. If you're battling to see the direction of the normals, just come here, press D, and under guides, there should be a scale normal. You see, if you increase that, you see, you're able to adjust how you're able to adjust the visibility of the normals, okay? And don't forget, if you like the settings that you have, you can always save them as default. That way you can always reload them whenever you restart Houdini. Okay, so we have this as our shape. The trick that needs to happen is we have to fool Houdini into thinking that this object is stretching outwards by increasing its scale. That way we will then be able to fool it into thinking as to what is the normal. Okay, so in other words, we've converted our object here. So, oops. And then what are we going to do? We are going to scale it outwards. So, right click, manipulate, transform. So let's bring it here. In fact, let's do it like that. Yeah. So the first one, you see this universal scale here. This, of course, controls the scale of everything. So let's scale it maybe, let's see, like that, you see? But of course, how do we see the previous shape? Well, you can always click on this button here. You see the option which says templates, which is purple in color. You see that? And by doing that, of course, you can see the outline of the previous object. You see, if I move to wireframe, yeah, you can clearly see what's what. So that is a template. All right. So basically, it's just giving you like a shadowy look or ghost-like image of the object that you are templating. So this is the transform. Let's rename it to transform scale bigger. Okay, that way we know. And then we're going to hold Alt. I hope this time, of course, it's recording all my keystrokes. Okay, to make a copy of it across, and then this we're going to scale smaller. Okay, so instead of 1.13, this guy will go the opposite way, inwards. So we are shrinking it. Okay, this way we'll be able to determine on our side which way the normal direction will be. All right. Then, after having gone through the trouble of doing that, we are going to throw these two things through what we call a switch statement in Houdini. That way we'll be able to choose between one or the other. So to switch, we right-click, Utility, Switch. Okay. And don't worry, I understand for a lot of you guys, this could be your first day in Houdini, so I'm trying to explain as slowly as possible. All right, so we are going to switch from either this one or either that one. And of course, you can see the options available there. So 0 will be the first object, which is the bigger one, and 1 will be the other object. Of course, if you keep increasing, you'll be looking at options which are not even available. So we only have two things to switch between, all right? So now that we've done that, let's pack these aside. Then we are going to load our normal node. So attributes point old. This is where we access the normal. And on the left-hand side is the source, of course. And you will notice, of course, this normal as an input 2. Okay? So it's like a guideline to tell the normals what to do. We are going to switch to this guy and click on input. Click on point 1. All right. And then right away, we're going to prepare things. So for the point normal, we're going to say add normal. All right. You notice, of course, things have disappeared. No need to panic. At this point, let's see. Yeah, don't worry, no need to panic, okay? What we have to do is to minus some axes from each other. And don't worry, the trick I'm showing you is the same trick you will use whenever you want to put a normal at the center of an object in Houdini. It's said that they have not developed an easier way to do this, all right? So how do we do that? We're going to clear everything in here. So delete channels. So in Houdini, a translate is represented by the letter T. Okay, when you say TX, it means you are dealing with the translation or the movement on the x-axis. When you deal with TY, is the movement on the y-axis. When you deal with TZ, of course, the movement on the z-axis. Okay. Right now, check this out. This is, of course, the point for the x-axis. So this is x, y, and z. So the x-axis, if you type in TX, you see what happens. Okay? And please wait, please wait. And of course, we know by now, exclamation mark in red, it's a big error, unforgivable. What needs to happen is that it has to be preceded by the $sign. So $TX. You see by doing that what happens now? The normals are now going to flow literally along the x-axis. You see how they look there? They're shooting straight out of the x-axis. All right. Now, if you go in here and you type in $TY, okay, they will do something along the y-axis, but of course, and this is not having any impact. Don't need to worry. And then we're gonna do here $TZ. Look what we have. You see that? Just like that, we've managed to create this star-like shape like we were intending to have here. You see? Of things shooting outwards. All right? Let me just close this here. All right. So that is our intent that we had to have. So now our normals are definitely shooting outwards. If we go now into the switch node and flip it around to 1, nothing happens, okay? No need to worry. So what I think what can happen is that, okay, I don't know if this will work. Try the following now. We are going to minus these values to themselves. So try tx2 minus $tx. There we go. We are soon gonna get somewhere. So try $ty2 minus $ty. We are literally minusing the values to themselves. What happens if you try $tz2? Oops, $tz2 minus $tz. You see what happens, huh? Okay, maybe you might not be able to see its impact right away. Okay, let's do this. We are going to take everything we've done here and hook everything to the blast. So, in other words, everything, all the properties will now be coming from the blast and that as well. It's already looking very interesting there, and of course that goes there. There we go. Now this comes here. Okay? So now you guys of course can see the direction that things are gonna take. But of course it's difficult to tell because we are using points. That's why we had to use the circle just to give us a guideline. So points are a bit difficult to display to us exactly what is happening. Okay? And I think, no. Sorry. We disconnected the wrong thing. Sorry. Yeah, this has to happen. There we go. Much better. Now we can talk. Okay. So again, remember this is a switch statement, huh? There we go. Look at this. This is switching based on the bigger scale. In other words, we are pushing our values outwards based on this scale. And then this is what happens when we switch on the negative by scaling, by scaling downwards. Okay? Then we are free to lay this out properly. Let me just bring these guys here. That's what I like about Houdini. Like you can do these things just to, like you can use a circle just to use as a guideline, and then once you know it's working, you just copy it across to something else. Okay. So now, again, this is what happened. We blasted everything. That way we could just keep the point. And then we scaled our object bigger. You see, even if we first applied it to a circle, the same settings still apply. Here, indeed, we did scale our object bigger, and then, of course, we scale them smaller. And then we threw them through a switch statement, which we accessed by going to utility, and we found switch. Okay. And then we send that data to the point node. Okay. And then, of course, we managed to, we had to go for like minusing the axis to themselves by adding a 2 at the end. By doing that, it enabled us to switch between the bigger scale and the smaller scales. That way, we can change whether the axis is flowing, so that the normals are flowing outwards or inwards. Okay. Then, after we've done that, now we can go to our copy node. And ladies and gentlemen, behold! Look at that shape. Look at that shape. Now we have that. You see, that is why we went through that trouble to get here. All right. So, when we go to smooth, wire shaded, and show all objects, of course, this doesn't look like a shape. So, something is missing, of course. So, what needs to happen is the following. We are going to right click and try and look for a skin node, hopefully. There we go. There's your skin node. And let's see which settings might work. Let me see. There we go. This happens to be the setting which seems to work. Although let me just see something. They almost look like propeller blades, huh? Okay. Let me see what else we can use instead of the skin. But let me see. Preserve shape is on. All primitives and on. So there are all kinds of settings. Let me see something. Okay, let me pause the tutorial until I see which setting will work best for us. All right. And then what you're going to do is, of course, to give it some flesh. All right. And literally, Houdini has what we call a skin node. Like literally, as the word implies, it applies a skin over surfaces. So we're going to right-click towards the end of the copy node. Right-click, and then we go for NURBS skin. Okay. And let's drop in a skin modifier like that. There we go. Almost looks like a skirt, or an umbrella. All right. Okay. And of course, it's got different options. Whether it's the wrap, you can see it changes something there. But of course, and then it lets you apply the skin over a group of polygons. You see that? In which case, of course, Houdini then goes crazy, giving you very interesting look of things right there. You know? Like this could be a work of art for someone out there. Who knows? Yeah. Or you can even skip every nth frame, every nth primitive, I mean. Again, by doing that, of course, it gives you this wonderful array of different objects. And too bad this is not the purpose of this tutorial, but I'm sure for some people out there, this could be an idea for a chandelier. Who knows? Okay. Yeah. And then let's switch it back to all primitives. And of course, something is looking good, but something is wrong. It's not smooth. All right. Now, if you go back to the copy node, of course, you can tell the problem begins earlier, in which case we have our shape here stretching outwards like that. You see, instead of spreading out like a star, you see, something is just wrong, of course, with the direction of the objects. Now, the reason why I'm showing you this is, again, the problem that, of course, we are having. You see, the shape is coming out, you know, as if, you know, they were twisted somehow at the top. We don't want that. We don't want that. They have to come out, you know, straight. All right. So if we go back to the blast node, and let's hide other objects so that we can concentrate on this object. And then, luckily, I showed you earlier how to turn on the display point numbers. Then let's observe what is happening here. If you look closely, you'll notice something is wrong with the numbers display. For instance, mine starts at 2, and then the next number is 22, and then the next number is 11, and then 23, and then going this way is doing other things again. Now, remember what I told you earlier, that Houdini, you know, for Houdini, point has so much meaning, to the point even then the order in which the points appear is also crucial. Okay, because you can see, because our numbers are all over the place, of course, we are getting a very distorted shape. Because let me check, there's a number 1 there, there's a point number 20 there, and then there's a point number 10. Because of these problems with points spilled all over, we are having the problem where the points, of course, are not displayed correctly. Okay, so we need to fix that. All right, and here is what we can do. Okay. Now, the solution to our problem will come in the following way. This is a part where, if you know mathematics, even if you don't, it's fine, okay? If you know mathematics, you will love this software, because we implement mathematical solutions, you know, scientific solutions to all kinds of problems, all right? To sort out the number of points going around the circle, we are going to use a mathematical equation, a mathematical function called ATAN, ATAN2. All right. to access it, I'm just going to click on this, or just press F1 anywhere on the software to launch the help. And then if you look for ATAN2, okay, Houdini's help is so well documented. All right, so let's go for this one here. For those of you who are coming from a mathematical point of view, I am not, okay, I'm just an artist. But then this is what's going to help us to correct the flow of the point numbering, okay? And of course, it's got a nice description there, and for me, I really don't understand what it means. All I know is I know it's what we can use to help us fix the point numbering. All right. So according to this explanation, well, it can use the signs of x and y to determine the quadrant of an angle that it's in, and then when you go to that one, ATAN itself returns the arc tangent of the argument. Okay, all right, okay. So yeah, before I confuse you any further, let's implement that function. All right, where do we implement it? Well, clearly the implementation must happen right after we've blasted, like right after we've gone from here to the blast. Okay, so right below there, we are going to sort the point. So we're going to go to attribute sort, okay, and drop it right there, and then of course we activate. Okay, right now of course it does nothing, and you can see, of course, there's two ways to sort things. You can sort the points, which is what you want to do, or you could sort primitives if you're dealing with polygons or primitives or surfaces. Okay, and then for the point source, we are going to sort by expression. In other words, we are going to enter a function. For those of you who use After Effects, of course, I'm sure you're familiar with expressions in After Effects, okay? So we're going to sort by expression. And then in the expression window, we are going to enter our function, okay? Let me show you which function we're going to enter. It will be ATAN2, like ATAN2. Let me just change my font here so that everyone will always be able to see what I'm typing there. That's still too small. Yeah, the function will enter without any space and so forth here. ATAN2, open and close. Then, which axis are we trying to fix? Well, clearly, the points we're trying to fix are all lying along the x-axis and the z-axis. We've got nothing to fix upon the y-axis. Okay, so please be aware of that. If these points were pointing upwards, then we're going to involve the y-axis as well. So we're going to ATAN2, and then, of course, like we said, we're fixing the x-axis and the $T z-axis. All right, it doesn't matter whether you type in the tz or tx at first. Okay, so the priority between the two doesn't matter as long as the two of them are mentioned. Okay, so yeah, we come in there, ATAN2. You see, again, Houdini is very helpful in showing us what options are available, and then of course $tx, because we're accessing the x-axis. Then of course $tz, sorry, and enter. And just like that, do you see now how the numbers are going? I've got the 37, 38, 39, you see. Of course, and then it begins at 0 again. And then so basically, the moment it reaches the last point, that is where, of course, that is Genesis. That's where the points begin. Of course, in my case, they begin at 0, and then 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically, they're now going nicely around in a circle, all because of this little function. All right, perfect. Then we continue, and of course, by doing that, you see the point numbering remains. And again, let me just show you. This was before. You see, they were going all over the place. 2, 25, 12, 24. And with the sort, we fix the order. Perfect. Now, if we go back to the skin node, okay, I know it still looks like that. And then if we apply the skin, look at that, ladies and gentlemen. This is now a perfect shape. Let's even turn off the point display and the normal display. Yeah. It looks like a beautiful artwork without any discrepancies now. Everything is now perfect. Wonderful. Now we can bring back our ghost other objects. Yeah. Just to see, of course, how it lines up with the rest of the shape. All right, so it's funny how we went from this, you know, and now of course we are dealing with this. Wonderful. Okay, so yeah, now we can then focus on creating, of course, this bottom shape. All right, it's easy enough. What you can do, let's see. Okay, let's do this. Of course, after you've done all of this, yeah, what you need to do is go to utility and convert. That way this shape becomes a polygon again. Or in fact, let's just go and borrow the UV unwrapping and so forth from its neighbors. So just go ahead and copy from, let's see, yeah, from those nodes there. In fact, yeah, copy from the UV shade and then the UV unwrap and then even the null is fine. Copy that. And we come here. Is it this one? Oh yeah, it's this one. Okay. And just drop it here. All right. There we go. Perfect. Okay. That's wonderful. And then of course we're going to call it out curvature top. Great stuff. Okay. Then we continue, and then what we are going to do is the following. We can see, of course, we've got our shape. Let me just see. Yeah, our bottom shape here, which we designed and it's waiting for us. And you can, of course, clearly see it can follow the same workflow as this one as well. All right. Which is, it's also going to go through the same procedure where we are going to, let's see. We are going to spread this object all along this shape here. So let's do exactly that, all right? So we come here, and then of course we're going to import object merge. What are we merging? We are looking for this one, of course, all right? Because we need to borrow its bottom vertices, okay? And then let's go and find it, and curvature top, there it is. Perfect. Okay. Then we're going to, of course, only keep the very bottom point. All right. And to do that, here's what you can do. Of course, we're going to right click and polygon and blast. Okay. All right. And let's see. Let's turn on the point display node here. And of course, it's asking us, what do you want to blast? Well, let's again switch to the front view. Oops. Yeah, there we go. And turn on the selection mode. And of course, you can see what we have access to and highlight only the bottom ones. But of course, we are looking for vertices only. So please activate the vertex option and only highlight the bottom ones. And of course, press enter. There we go. And we only want to delete non-selected. That way we can only keep the bottom ones, all right? Switch back to perspective. That way, of course, we can see for ourselves what we've got, all right? And then the same thing is going to happen, of course, because, let's see. If you go ahead, you right-click utility and copy stamp. If you copy that over those points, let's see what you're gonna get. Of course, very nice shape, but of course, it's wrong. Like, this shape looks so gorgeous. I wish I could use it for something else, but of course, it's flowing in the wrong direction. We need to fix that. All right. So we come back here, and let's go ahead and hide other objects. Okay. And again, let's display the point numbers. That way we can see what's happening. Well, they seem to be flowing. Let me see. 40, 41, 42, 43, 44. Yeah. In fact, let me see. Yeah, it seems these ones are already, of course, following a good order. That is because, of course, the point sorting was already fixed in the previous shape. All right. So that's why, of course, things are going well. Okay. Then let's come back here and see why are we getting a shape which is looking so strange. Okay. Let's save our file first. And so, if you feel comfortable and you think you understand Houdini enough, you can just go ahead and copy this entire stack like all the way from the start all the way to the point. Okay, for those of you who are still, you know, trying to grasp it, don't worry, I will carry you along. All right, so because it's basically a repetition of what we've done above there. All right, so let's go back to where we blasted the points. Let's just focus here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do what we need to do to fix the point order. So we're going to go ahead and let's go for manipulate, transform. Okay, and of course this is where we're going to scale bigger. All right, and here let's give it a radius of a scale of maybe 1.5. Oops, sorry, 1.2. Okay, and then we're going to hold Alt and copy, of course. Okay, and call this scale smaller. Okay, and this will be 0.7. all right. Now, from what I can tell, I don't know about you guys, but can you see that this object is not shifting or scaling from its direct center? All right, but anyways, yeah, so we'll see if that gives us a problem later on. All right, then of course we'll then want to decide between the scaling of the bigger or the smaller one. All right, so we need to add a utility and switch. Okay, that way we can switch between the two values. All right, so here of course this is the first value is always 0, hence it's there, so we can switch from that to this one. Okay, all right. And then of course towards the end we go to attribute and point old. All right, and of course we ignore everything else, we just rush to the normals where we say add normal and then right click and delete channels. That way of course we can specify our very own. We'll do as before where we're going to minus the axes to themselves. That way we get a much more centralized or star-shaped normal. Okay, so we know what to do by now. It's $tx2 sorry, yeah, in fact, yeah, let's first enter the normal values at first. I just want, it's like a revision for you guys to see what actually they mean. So tx2, of course, you see what it does? It spreads the values along the x-axis. It spreads the normal along the x-axis. Okay, you see how they shoot out now? Wonderful. And then if we go for dollar, let's first do the Z one. So $tz. Yeah, and by doing that, of course, you see they spread out beautifully. All right, if you go for tz2, nothing much changes. If you go for tx2, nothing much changes. Okay, but we know we have to do it anyway, so it will be tx2 minus $tx. Now you begin to see what changes, right? Okay, all right, like let me just show you what we had before. Let me just okay, so this is what we had before. Notice how they look, right? So by adding the $tx, it's just going to help us. Oops, remember this thing is very cap sensitive. Okay, it's just going to help us to align our structure, our normals much better. Okay, so that is t, and then we do the same with the z-axis minus tz. Okay, oops, sorry, I keep forgetting the spellings. tz. Okay, all right, and then the y-axis you're gonna leave it at 0. Okay, for those of you who pasted the values that were there before, let's just say we do the same thing as the other people. So here we've got $ty2 minus $ty. Okay, now let's then go, of course, to the copy node. Of course, you can still see the problem persists. Okay, so of course something is going wrong. All right, so let's first go here. We don't need anything to be happening along the the y-axis, but we'll get to that. First of all, the copy stamp node. You'll notice, of course, it's got all kinds of options, all right? And then, if we go ahead and turn off... okay, so one thing to notice is that, let's go here, okay? If we go here, okay, you'll notice that we've got things happening on the x-axis, and then we've got something happening on the z-axis. What seems to be the odd thing is that we've got information being sent on the y-axis. Meanwhile, remember, there is nothing that we need that needs to be happening on the y-axis, because remember, we only want to sort the point along the x-axis and the z-axis, as we found out in the previous exercise. So that means whatever is happening here is messing things up. All right, so make sure you turn on the display normals again. So here where we've got the y axis, right click on there and then select delete channels. Okay, now it set it back to 0, and then do you see now, of course, the direction now that the normals are taking? You see, let me undo that. You see, this was before, which was confusing our shape, of course, and then by deleting the channels, you see, and then setting them to 0, you see, now it flattens things. Of course, if you increase it to 1 or -1, you can see for yourselves, of course, what will happen. But of course, we want them at 0. That way, you see, our point sorting is only happening along the, I mean, our normal sorting is only happening along the Z and X axis. So what happens now when we come to the copy node, and lo and behold, we have a shape again. You see, all that mess created by the data which was in here. So again, this is what you see. This is what happens the moment the y-axis has got any data whatsoever. It just throws our shape into something, you know, incomprehensible, you see, because it's confused. Let's see, even if you go, yeah, you see, the moment, even if it's going to minuscule numbers like those, like 0.001 or so, already it begins to cause terrible damage to the shape. Because why? We are feeding it y-axis data, which it doesn't need. All right, so set it back to 0, of course, we are back in business. And of course, after having done that, we can go to NURBS and skin. Okay, that way we can have a shape out of this. Beautiful. And let's just say show all objects again. Let's have it to smooth wash. There we go. It almost looks like this is so funny. I love Mexico so much, especially the food. This looks just like the Mexican hat. So if you're watching this from Mexico, Hole! Hope to be coming to Mexico very soon. Love that country. All right, so there we go. Yeah, this looks just like the Mexican head, you know. But of course, our little Mexican head shape has got a problem here. It's not closed off. So we go to the skin modifier here, and let's see if the VREP is off. Yeah, there we go. Just turn it on, and then yeah, it will fill up the gap. You see, by doing that, of course, it completely covers the shape. But of course, I'm sure you can notice, of course, this is really going the wrong way. I know it looks like a Mexican head, but of course, our shape has to look like that. So, this is where we need to fix something. What is happening is the following, okay? Let me take you back to our original shape, all right? Remember the shape we have here? Let me just tell it to hide other objects. Yeah. Remember the shape when we designed it. Let me just go to the line mode, press Ctrl F on the keyboard, that way you can just zoom out of everything, then activate the edit node. Yeah. Remember what I asked you to do here, which you followed anyways. Thanks for doing that. Remember, the pivot point of our object is right here at the very center of the scene, which you can see 0 and 0. What that means is, of course, the moment you do a copy node, of course, it's respecting that law. And let's just bring back our ghost other object here. It's respecting that law because you'll find that our object is literally growing from that point, you see, which is at the very center of the scene, that point over there. So what needs to happen instead is that this actually should be the pivot point. All right, so basically we have to restructure our object, okay? What we can do, we can drop in another edit node, okay? So manipulate and edit, okay? All right, oops, let's do this. And its mission will be to reposition this object so that the whole pivot point begins from here. So we are going to go ahead and hide other objects. And let's switch to the accurate viewpoint, which could be, of course, the front viewport, okay? And Windows and F to zoom in. So this whole thing must grow from here. So what do? We are going to the select mode, okay? Select vertex and then highlight everything, okay? And we're going to use the move button, all right? Be extremely careful and follow me along, all right? We are going to move only one axis at a time. So, oops, sorry about that. By the way, please turn off, if you have any of these snappings on, please turn them off, all right? We want freedom. And then bring them down like that up until this top bar is literally lined up with the coordinate system, which is over there. All right, so up to there, that's fine. And then of course, we are gonna move it in this direction. All right, perfect. So you see we've done two things. Now for the most important of them all, of course, that is that this point here must really sit at 0 units which is of course at the very center of the scene. All right, let's just move it a bit outward some more, like that. Okay, that way we just have enough room left for the curvature. Now we can zoom in on this. Okay, we are going to select our point right here. Now please turn on grid snapping, all right? And then we are gonna move it from the point there and up until it turns blue like that. There we go. Where now it's really positioned at completely 0 units on X, Y, and Z axis. Let's now, if you were to observe this from a distance, you see what it looks like. Now switch back to perspective. Let's analyze what we've done here. You see that as you rotate the scene, of course, you can tell for yourselves indeed. Now the object its pivot point has now been adjusted so that it's gonna do everything from that point, okay? And now, hopefully, of course, things work. When you go back to the skin mode, something has changed, of course. And then let's go to other object. There we go. So something has already changed, but of course it's not in the direction that we need, but already it's no longer a Mexican head, okay? And then what we're gonna do, just below the edit, clearly it needs to be rotated, all right? So let's see, if we come to the copy node, let's see, along the rotation on the y-axis, can we do that? No, that doesn't do anything. I thought, nah, that doesn't do anything. So what we have to do, of course, is to rotate the objects themselves. So we're going to come here just below the edit node and then manipulate, transform. Okay. Or let me talk like Optimus. Transform. Yeah. And then which axis are we dealing with? Well, let's see. What happens when you rotate along the x-axis? An interesting shape, but of course not what we want. All right. Next one. If we try z-axis, what will happen? Almost. It's almost as if it's floating in the wind. Beautiful animation though. So nothing happens there. Now, what about the y-axis? And there we go. The rotation has to happen on the y-axis and it has to be precise units. In other words, let's see. Let's just tilt it a bit like that. Yeah, let's see what needs to happen. We are going to increment by 10 units. So let's see. We're incrementing and let's see. Up until where it's almost close, that was... Let's go for 270 units. Yes, you see. So by doing that, we are so close to achieving, of course, our goal of having that structure. All right. So let's get back in because, yeah, now you can see, of course, what's happening. And it's doing that, of course, because that means the point here. Let's just get there. Oops, let's do this. Let's select the transform node and keyboard spacebar and F. Yeah, it means, of course, this point here, which was supposed to close the structure, has been moved. All right, it's literally what is really happening. Okay, what we are going to do is we're going to add yet another edit node, manipulate, edit. Okay, and then of course this will be responsible for only moving that little point there, and then go ahead and click. Sorry, let's access the edit node. Sorry, click it to activate it, and then we're going to click on, of course, that little point there, that one, and press enter. That way, of course, it populates inside the group node there. That way, if we were to move, in fact, let me just do this so that not to confuse you. Let me hide every other object, okay? And let's zoom in here, okay? And in fact, let me do it again for those who I might have confused. We are going to add manipulate and edit. What are we trying to edit? We are trying to edit this point here so that we move it in position, that way it can completely close the structure. And then to select it, we just go to the edit node and then we click select. And then of course, we make sure you're on the vertex node, and then we pick that vertex and press enter. Okay. And let me delete again, okay? Because I want to show you what happens. When you click on this arrow here to select things in this viewport, you'll notice, of course, Houdini turns purple. The node turns purple, showing you the fact that you're about to select something, okay? And of course, in our case, it's that guy, and press enter. Once you've done that, of course, it populates it there, and of course, it automatically picks up at a point, to the point where, of course, we can decide how to manipulate its movement and so forth, okay? So now let's go back to the skin node and ghost other objects, and make sure you keep saving your files, of course. And we are here now. What do we need to manipulate? Well, try to manipulate the translate along the x-axis. There we go. Yes, it's the correct one. And then of course bring it closer until of course it completely closes the structure. We are almost there, okay? There we go. Yeah, now it's completely closed off. I like how it looks. It's almost like an alien spaceship light beaming down. All right. So this is how we've gone from the Mexican sombrero, you know, to finally getting our shape back, okay? This was so much fun. We can turn off the normal display for now and just analyze what we've done. All right. Now, let's go. Yeah, let's go now back here. Okay. And try and wrap things up. Okay. So what we are going to add is this shape here. Okay. I'm talking about, yeah, this shape here. You see, it's the shape sitting right outside the entire structure. All right. So what do we do about that? Let's work on that. And for this next step, don't worry, I won't be harsh on you. Yeah, we're just gonna make this shape quickly. And to do that, don't worry, we won't have to reinvent the wheel. We'll just borrow from, let's see, from the tube top object. All right. And let's see. Yeah, so here's what we're gonna do. In fact, I think, yeah, let's just do this. So this is the top object. Yeah, let's just realign it like that, okay? So borrow the top and let's just have it on the side here. We're gonna call it lid. Okay. Let's get in there, and then the values will be as follows. And let's see, its radius will be much bigger, okay? Oops, sorry. So you're gonna notice there, of course, let's see, this is at its inception. It needs to, remember, it needs to cover up the whole structure. So it needs to be quite a bit bigger. So we come here. I think we have to multiply the radius by 2 or so. Remember, this value, like we did before, is all being fed from the central tube. You see, that way, should the central tube's dimensions change, of course, it should be updating this one as well. All right. So multiply that by 2, and let's see something here. Multiply by 2. Yeah, sorry, we only have to multiply the first radius, not the second one. Okay, there we go, so that we get something like that, more uniform. All right, it looks like it needs to be multiplied even bigger, maybe by 3. No, okay, how about just 2.5 then? Yeah, that's fine. All right, then of course we've got our height. It rises to cover up. We have to see this from the front view to be accurate. And this is where you could use, of course, the wireframe node just to see what's what. And of course, we need to rise all the way there. Yeah. Okay, perfect. And back to perspective, and back to smooth shaded. And let's just go through the nodes just in case there's something we need to fix. Poly splits, well, we don't need any poly splitting. In fact, let's just jump all the way up to here. Yeah, you see, we don't need all of these steps, so they can go away. So just select all the steps. Yeah, we just need our tube. Okay, does it need any bevel data? No, it doesn't. And then of course, it definitely needs a polyfill. Yeah, at the very top there. Okay, yeah, luckily it has implemented everything so smoothly without us worrying about a thing. All right, then yeah, we had an edit node, of course. Yeah, all right, and then of course you can see what it did there. And of course, oops, poly split, we don't need that as well. Yeah, all right, and then we subdivide. Oops, let me just undo that. Let's just undo that. I think it has to do the splitting, but I think it's getting the wrong information. Okay, so let's do this. Let's delete that. Or let's see. I think it needs subdivision. All right, let's go back to the tube level, and then I think, is it the columns? No, not the columns. We need to add subdivisions along its height. Not there. Yeah, along the rows. There we go. So it needs that. All right, it needs the subdivision along those points. Very important. Then we come back here, and yeah, it still follows everything perfectly. There we go. Okay, although I think we need some work to do here. All right, so let's do this. We're going to select the edge mode. Let's select the edges and pick those edges up. Hold shift to pick the next ones. All around. Yeah, so when we go to the wireframe mode, let me show you. So yeah, there we go. So we've picked all those at the very top there. All right, and then with them still here, we press tab, of course, and polygon, and you know what to do by now. We are going to poly bevel, of course. Poly bevel. All right, just to split this further. And then the distance, there we go. Yeah, and it needs to be a solid, a round one. Okay, hopefully, of course, this will then be taken into account by Houdini. Yes, without a problem. Perfect. Okay, let's yeah, okay. All right, but of course it's now too round. I mean it's too flat. The top is now too flat, so we have to go back to the edit mode. Let's lift our top surfaces here. Oops, sorry. Let's pick which polygon to lift up. It's that one. Enter. Okay, there we go. All right, it needs to be even taller. Okay, gotta love Houdini, man. And then when we jump to the conclusion, of course, it respects exactly what you've done, all right? If you were to turn off the wireframe and just went for smooth shaded, let's see. Okay, let's try and turn off the UV quick shade just to see this object the way it looks, all right? If you were to go back and adjust the level amount, in other words, the distance between the edges here, let's see what we can get. There we go, you see? There we go. That is what we need to do. Nice and simple. You know, just by doing that, of course, it creates that nice round look that we really need to achieve. All right. And yeah, and we've done just that. Okay. Now, yeah, it seems to be a bit too big. Let's just shrink our object just a bit here. Or is it really too big? Let's see, when we are in wireframe mode. Oh yeah, okay. We need to bring it down, all right? Just bring it, yeah. That's more or less that position, yeah, that it occupies. All right. And also, I think it's a bit too tall. So back to our tube. This is why you gotta love Houdini. At any time we go back and change whatever we need, and it just adapts like it's nothing, you know. And then 2.5. Let's go for 2.2 scale. Yeah, that's much better. All right. There we go. Yeah, this is more like it. Okay. But I think no. Let's just go the scale. Just go for 2.3. Yeah, that's better. All right, let's move on. Okay, and then of course it needs an out node, so the out will be out led. Okay, then of course when you observe the shape, you'll notice of course it's surrounded by this structure. All right, how do we create how do we go about creating such in Houdini? All right, first of all, let's go for this shape which is sticking out here. That should be so simple. We're just going to borrow one of the shapes here, just make a clone out of it. Call it, what do you call it, ring, outer ring. And let's just dive in. By the way, we forgot to, let me see. We forgot to add UV mapping on the bottom one. Let's fix this quickly, okay? We're just gonna borrow from this, from the convert and so forth, and UV unwrapping. Copy that and come to the bottom node, yeah, and drop it there, right there. So remember, you cannot apply a UV map unless something is a polygon, so that's why we convert it first, and then we apply our UV mapping. There we go. And then of course utility, and let's shoot out a null. Okay, to finish this. So this is of course out curvature bottom. Okay, all right, so back to our outer ring. All right, and we're just gonna wipe out everything in here. Okay, so all we need to do is the shape, of course, to represent the bottom here. So sorry, let's not wipe out everything. Sorry, we only need to keep one of these items. So delete everything else, like those ones, delete that, and only keep this object merge here, up to the point, of course, where we have these dots here, which were spread. If you switch to hide other objects here, this is what I'm talking about, okay? So let's only have this shape left. So ghost other object. All right, okay? Then what you're gonna do, let's see, let's go up one level. Okay, let's switch back to hide other objects again. All right, so yeah, this is the shape we're talking about, of course. And then we're going to convert this into a bunch of lines. So right click, utility, convert line. That way everything here will become a line, like that. Great stuff, okay? And then Let's see. Yeah. Should we go this route? No. I think let's think of another way of doing this, okay? And instead of going for lines, let's delete that. Okay. What we're gonna do is, let's come here to the blast node. Let's do the following. Delete the blast node, that way we have this shape back. Then we are going to right click and then go to manipulate again and polygon again and blast once again. Okay. Now this time, well, let's see what's happening here. Let me see. Let's see. Okay. Let's switch to the front view. Okay, I don't know why it's disappearing, but anyways. Yeah, and then click on the selection node there. There we go. That way, of course, it will enable us to select what we need to blast out. Select all these top polygons there and press delete. That way, we'll only have one left. In fact, let's do this. Let's see. I don't know why it did another blast, but anyways, just get rid of the second blast. That way we only, of course, have that one left. All right. So we had this before, and then we blasted the lid off. All right. Then we are going to scale this object down. Yeah. So we come in here, manipulate, and of course, transform. Then the scale, we are only going to scale on the y-axis, okay? Scale it down. Yeah, something like that. All right. Then what we're going to do is we're going to right click and then polygon and poly extrude. Okay? And we're going to increase the distance. But of course, you can see what is happening, all right? It's growing, yes, but in the wrong axis, okay? Try to tell it to be on point normal, or let's see. No. This is proving to be much more challenging than it's worth. Let's see. Let's go back to here. Okay, let's do this, okay? After we blast, let's do this. Let's go back to the blast node. Then we are going to come in the viewport here. Please select the edge mode and then only highlight the bottom edges like that. Okay? Only those ones. Then I'm trying to show you how to clone stem polygons in 3D Max. In Houdini. In 3D Max, it's achieved by holding shift and dragging. Let me just show you what I mean by that, okay, as a comparison, because all that's going to happen is that it's going to borrow the existing shape and then literally just stretch them outwards, okay? That way it's like cloning. That's why I'm describing it as it's like a clone stem, sort of a clone stem tool in Photoshop, but of course in Houdini, we are going to use other methods, okay? But let me show you what it looks like if you were to do it from inside of 3D Max, okay? Let's see. To show you what I mean, here is 3D Max. If I had a cylinder, basically a similar object to what we have there, or a tube rather, tube. No, I should have gone for the cylinder. Yeah, it's much simpler to work with. Okay, if you have this shape, and I'm just gonna make it an editable poly quickly, just to mimic the one in Houdini is looking like. Okay, so this is the shape in Houdini, in 3D Max rather. Let me just scale it just to be on the same size as the other one in Houdini. Okay, so this is the shape in Houdini. Okay, this is the shape in 3D Max. If I was to modify this object, I could go to the edge mode and then highlight only the bottom edges, right? And then holding shift on the keyboard, holding shift, I could then drag this downwards. You see, if I hold here and holding shift, I can lift it up. You see, if I hold shift here, I can do that. All right. So the same function for us to do that in Houdini, it's slightly different procedure. All right. We are going to select, we have to be on the edge mode like we said. Select the edges at the bottom there. And then you press tab, polygon. Then what do we use? Well, in Houdini, we use a I believe it's poly extrude. Okay. You will notice, of course, it gives us handles. You see, clearly visible in the viewport and even these options here. And also, automatically, Houdini also drops us the poly extrude node right there in the network view. Then from here, we can drag this arrow down or up. You see, just like that, adjusting the values. You see, wonderful. All right. So of course, we don't want to do too much like that. Let's just see. And then let's try and change it to be based on the point normals. Let's just see something here. Let's just see. Pre-existing. Yeah. Please go only for a very tiny amount, all right? Very extremely low amount, like not too much at all, like that. All right. Now, we are going to switch to the front view, and then let's get rid of these nodes here. We don't need them anymore. Then we're going to come here to the selection mode, and then we're going to select polygons this time. Let's zoom in here. We're only going to highlight those ones and then press delete on the keyboard. Okay. And just like that, of course, we've blasted them out of existence. And then we're only left, of course, with those little ones that we created from the poly extrude. So we started there and then we added the poly extrude, to create that. And then, of course, we blasted the rest of them out. Now, with what is left, we're going to right click and then polygon and poly extrude. Let's see what we'll get this time. And increase the amount. There we go. Now we are getting that shape. You see? So let's ghost other object. There we go. Oops, sorry about that. Remember Houdini, let's say you're on poly extrude node, the moment you jump on the viewport, it keeps on applying the settings. So just be aware of that. Okay. To get out of the settings being applied, I'm going to press escape. Yeah. By pressing escape, you switch to the view mode. All right. And there, of course, is our beautiful outer ring. And of course, it has to go through the same things as the others, which is it has to be converted until it has to be turned into a null. So we go there and we drop all of these nodes right there. That just like that. Okay. Wonderful. And of course, call it out ring. Great stuff. Okay. And then before we completely export it, we are going to scale it bigger as well. So manipulate again and transform. And the whole thing must be made a bit bigger, because you can see for yourselves, of course, that it's quite bigger than the rest of the structure. Or it's a bit distant from the rest of the structure, like that. All right. And I think it also sticks outwards, so we're going to move it there. Yeah, it's positioned like that. Great stuff. Okay, great stuff. Okay, now let's exit there. And then all we are left with is this little shape here, which sticks all out there. Okay, how do we create that? All right. To create this shape, we'll start from the base here. All right. And let's use an accurate view, which is of course the front view. All right. So all that happens at this object like that before it joins the rest of the mesh. All right. So we come in here and let's borrow one of these nodes here. Just gonna put it on the side there. I'm gonna call this outer lines. All right. Let's get in there and let's see. All we are going to keep, what you need to keep is this shape over here. Okay. which is the let's just see, the lid. Okay, so let's get in there. So under object merge, let's go and look for lid, like that. Okay, great stuff. And you'll notice, of course, its position has to be adjusted. So let's do this. The lid, you see, because its position is controlled from the outside, that's why the node inside still looks like that. So we need to copy this value here of the translation and set it to 0 on the outside and get inside, and instead, yeah, on the transform here. Oh, I see what we have here. Okay, it's set at the maximum value of the other node. How about we go for times 0.3? Yeah, there we go. That way it's simply based on 30% of the central lead's value. Okay, or perhaps even 0.2. Yeah, that's much better. So now when we go to our outer lines, of course, it keeps the correct translation information. Yeah, perfect. Okay, let's get rid of everything up to the conversion. All right, then from here we need to create lines that simply go from there to there to there. All right, so to do that, we are going to, of course, draw curves. So we go for primitive and curve. Okay, let's select it there to activate it and turn off. Yeah, please turn off the angle snap toggle. We don't need to snap to any angle here. And then you press enter until, of course, your mouse looks like a cross now. And then we are going to click from where, of course, it's going to begin. So it will begin from somewhere here, you see. And, of course, it rises a bit and then it goes there. Okay. All right. And press enter. That's it. All right. Then what you're going to do, let's switch to the perspective view just to observe what we've done. You see that, yeah? So we've created this line here, just sticking out like that. All right. Now, of course, you're wondering, why have we merged this shape here? Well, we're about to find out. Okay. We are going to convert this whole shape into a line. All right. Right click, utility, convert line. Sorry. Right click, utility, convert line. Okay. Then, of course, now we have a line. All right. Now, our mission now is, please select this line here and then just turn on template node. That way, it turns purple there. That way, even if you're on the convert line node, we can still see its ghost. Okay, so now what we have to do is literally borrow lines from this shape here, which are in line with the side here. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We are gonna go and borrow a line loop from an accurate position. Okay, which is, of course, like we said, lined up with this shape here. So here we're going to go to the select node and then select the edges. And then double click here, like that. You see that? Let me double click again. You see that? By doing that, of course, you're able to select, there we go, a complete loop. All right. But I think, as you can see, of course, it's tilted to one side. We need it to be facing, to be directly horizontally placed. Okay. Like you can see, this is not in line with the axis of the geometry. Let's go back into the lid. Let's see at which point does a twisting happens. Okay, let's just see. This is when we have a tube. Let me just see. Let's try and hide other objects. Yeah. So this is when we had it as a tube. Okay. We did an edit. Yeah, okay. It looks like the problem happens when the polyfill happens. Okay, that's where it twisted the top a bit. Okay, but let's see. Let's switch to the top viewport here. Switch to wireframe. You can press W on the keyboard. Yeah, you can clearly see, of course, from here what is really happening. All right, let's see. Let's see if we try and change some of these options here. Let's see what could help us. If we went for offsetting the corner here, just want to say the aim is just to get a shape which is straight. No, the moment it gets here, of course, you can see it will get lost as well. Let's see. If we are here, what could we use? Let's see. There we go. A triangle fan does the job. You see, it will enable us to fill up our top there. Like if you go to the top view now, you see, like this was before quadrilaterals or quadrilateral fan, or which one did we have? Yeah, the grid. You see, this was also enabling us to create a loop which will start from that side all the way to the across. So instead, by going for the triangle fan, yeah, we're able to get a straight cut at the top there. All right. Then let's go back to perspective mode. Something has happened, of course. Oh yeah, you know, of course, the edit node is responsible for moving some vertices. So turn it off like that. Yeah, that way it looks like that now. Poly bevel, there we go. Let's switch back to that. There we go. Yeah, this is much better now. Now our lid is doing the right thing. There we go. Okay, perfect. Yeah, now you see, should we be able to pick up a selection, we can pick one which starts all the way from that side to the other. So now let's go back to the outer lines. Yeah, after converting our line, we go and select back to smooth. Oh, of course, we've converted this into lines, okay? So the lines we are picking, we're going to pick, are going to start from here. So double click again. Oops, sorry. Double click that edge over there. I don't know what is happening now. When we are here, yeah, try and double click this edge over here. There we go. There we go. This is what we needed, okay? Don't worry about the other side. We just need to do it on one side, all right? Then we'll mirror it across, all right? So this is a complete loop of a line now. Perfect. Then we're going to press tab here, and let's go to manipulate and delete. Okay. Oops, what has happened there? Oh, damn. Undo. Okay, please hold, bear with me. Let's switch to that. Oops. It has to hide other things. Please bear with me. Yeah. Please remove the convert line. Let's get back to this point here and turn off the point display there. We're trying to select the edges. Yeah, this is what we're trying to have. Okay. We are going to press tab, and then we're going to make a group out of this object. Okay, that way it's separate from the rest of the mesh. Press tab, and then we go to group create. Okay, you'll notice, of course, Houdini goes ahead and creates an entire selection set of edges, and of course it knows that these are a bunch of edges. They're not polygons or anything else. All right, let's call this group edges. Enter. Okay. Then we're going to right click and then manipulate and delete. Okay. Select the delete mode, and then of course we're going to select the group edges, and then we're going to delete everything which is not the group edges. And then of course we are looking for edges. Let's see. It seems it doesn't give us our shape at all. It has deleted everything. We are trying to keep edges here. Okay, we need to find a more efficient way of keeping these edges. Okay. Let's see. With the group still selected, let's try utility convert line. Let's see whether it will remember our edges. And then of course, oh no, this one doesn't. It completely ignores. Oops, group edges, please. We have to name it with an underscore. Yeah, that's why there was an exclamation mark. Houdini was not happy. Okay, let's see. If we drop in a delete node again, maybe the problem was just the exclamation mark. Let's see. Edges, delete non-selected. Nah, just doesn't want it. Okay, nah, it's completely refusing. Okay, let's see. We need to find a better method of handling this. All right, let's do this. How about this? Delete everything, convert everything into a line again, okay? Utility, convert line. Don't worry, I'm making all these mistakes just to show you that there's many ways of solving a problem, okay? All right, so yeah, we convert into a line and then we go to the selection mode and let's see, will this work this time? Let's see. So what we're going to do will be a bit clever, all right? What we need to do is only, of course, to keep these edges, right? So that means we can then get rid of every other edge, right? So we go to our, let's see, our convert line node, okay? Or we can even edit here, okay? We're gonna come here and then right click and then we're going to go to manipulate and delete. Okay. All right. Select it there and then it needs the following options. Remember, we found out how you can delete all kinds of things, but there's also a way in which you can go into bounding volume. If you turn that on, you're going to see, let me see if it's visible. Yeah, somewhere it's going to create this node, which basically is like whatever this box is able to eat up will be deleted. If you, like for instance, if you come here to the size and begin to increase the values, you see what happens? Of course, it just begins to eat those shapes up. All right. So what we need to do is to find a way in which it can be dynamic so that even if this shape's size can change, it will still adapt nicely. All right. So what we're going to do is, of course, use what our favorite bounding box, because remember the bounding box always represents the overall shape of the overall size of a structure. Okay. So for instance, we can see that we need to, this box here must always be the size, like slightly bigger than the size of this whole structure here, right? So we are going to go and into the x-axis, for instance. Let's see if it was 1 at first or so. We are going to type in the B box for bounding box, of course. Open and close the brackets. And of course, what are we accessing? Of course, we are trying to access the dimensions of the object merge node here. Okay. All right. And then what are we looking for? Well, we are looking at the D underscore X size. So in other words, this will be based on the X size of the bounding of the object here, and enter. And just by doing that, do you see how the object nicely, fills up the structure here? But of course, you can see there's a bit of it still which didn't make it. So that's why I said normally, you must normally multiply it by a slightly higher number. So times maybe 1.2. Yeah, that way it really, no matter what will happen, it will always cover up the entire dimension there. So if you go back to the lead object, if you go here and you decide, for instance, to change the tube's dimension, right? Let's say you want to make it bigger like that. Let's just see what will happen to the outer lines. You see, the box automatically adapts accordingly. Let's just go ahead and undo, and undo, and undo, undo change parameter. Yeah, that way it's just back to what it was of 2.3. I was just showing you that so that you can see the power of Houdini. We are able to adjust things and the update later on. All right, wonderful. Then of course we're also dealing with this axis here, which is the Z axis. So what do? We're also gonna take into account B box. Now this time, of course, dot dots, object merge. And what are we accessing? Well, this time we're going to access the dimension of the Z size, because now we're dealing with the dimension along the Z axis. And again, we multiply by 1.2 or so. There we go. Now, of course, it's that dimension as well. All right. Okay. So now, what about, of course, in fact, for this dimension here, we made a mistake, sorry. In this dimension here, it has to be much smaller. But first, let's take into account the height, okay? What will be the value of the height? Well, it will be B box. Like we're trying to make sure that the lead node also takes into account the object's overall height. Okay, object merge, D, and of course, Y size. If you press enter, of course, you can see this is actually accurate. It's just that it's sitting, like it begins to grow from way below where the actual object actually sits. So we have to, let's try and move the center to where the object actually begins from. So let's try and see B box, dot dot, object merge. Let's say D, Y min. In other words, let it grow from the very base of this structure. Press enter. Yeah, it sort of does it, but just to take into account everything, we're going to multiply it by a higher number, maybe 2. It seems, sorry, not there. Sorry about that. I mean here, we're going to multiply the overall height by 2. Yeah, that way it will always cover all the way to the complete height of the object, okay? Please template our original box, okay? Our original tube. That way we can just preview it and begin to change things accordingly, okay? We need to shrink things along the Z axis. Like, yeah, you see what I'm doing? Like, we need to find all the way up to a value which only, and I mean only leaves this line here alone behind, okay? So let's do that. We're going to keep on shrinking. Yeah, almost there. And there we, yeah, something like that. Up until, like I said, we only have this middle line left. All right. Okay, perfect, okay? Then, when you go to the convert line node, remove the template option. That way we are now focused on this object here. Let's now move this delete node below the convert line. Let's see what we get now. Do you see what you're getting? Okay. And then tell it to delete non-selected. There we go. Now you see, we only have that shape left. Okay. Like this is what we needed to do so that we can end up with this. And then let's see if we have the freedom to shrink this some more. There we go. You see, we are shrinking, and there we go. Now, by pure miracle, we are only left with the shape that we need. Isn't this wonderful? Whoa, okay? So that is the power of shrinking things. So remember, we took it from here, where we tried to shrink so that we could view as to how much impact it's having. And then, of course, we moved it below the convert line here. So that, because it was easy to see how it's eating up the lines and only leaving us with this structure here. Okay. Then, we need, of course, to bring these two together. All right. So let's see, we are going to right click and utility and merge. Merge, there we go. And there we go. Now, of course, the two objects become one, right? And you can see, of course, there's a problem, for instance, here where they're not meeting. So what do we do? Of course, we are going to template this one and then come to our object here. And then what I'm going to do, of course, we're going to manipulate and edit. Okay. Then we are going to come to the front view, which is, of course, accurate. And then we're going to select the edit node and select mode, and we're going to select vertex. Now, this time we are going to snap to points. Why? Because we want to move this point to be in line with that point over there. Okay. Then we click on the select option there and then click on that one and enter. And in fact, we are now going to move it. There we go. You see, as soon as you bring it to the tip of that other shape, it just turns like that. Wonderful. Great stuff. Now we can go back to the merge node and back to the perspective. Okay. Wonderful. Now, in theory, there should be one object. Okay. And also, what we're going to do, let's see. This object here, we need it to be the same across there. So in other words, this guy, let's just remove the template. Yeah. In other words, we want this object to be replicated right across. Okay. How do we do that? Well, we're going to right click, utility, and mirror. Mirror. Okay. Oops, sorry. At the bottom here. Yeah, it has to come here. Right click, utility, mirror. Select it. There we go. This is just like the way the mirror node works in 3D Max. Okay. Now, when you press merge, you see now we've got a complete shape which looks just like that one. Okay. All right. So let's just adjust this a bit. Okay. Great stuff. All right. Then we have, of course, to push it back into the convert node. Now, of course, it's too thin. It has to be renderable. So what do? We are going to right click and then utility, please look for, sorry, and then we go to polygon and please look for poly wire. There it is. You see? There we go. Perfect. All right. And of course, it gives us thickness. And let's see. Let's try and change some options here. I don't know why it's looking like that over there. Let me see. Okay. Okay. It seems the problem is fixed if you increase the number of divisions. All right. And then the radius, let's make it nice and thin. Or in fact, let's be funny. We're gonna base its radius based on the central node here, on its radius. Okay, the tube here. And let's see which axis actually. Yeah, let's go for this, or the second axis. Copy parameter there. And we come here, outer lines, poly wire, wire radius, right click, Houdini just crazy. Paste relative reference. And of course it's too big, so we're going to multiply maybe by 0.1. Yeah, still too big. In fact, by now, please ghost other objects. There we go. Yeah, maybe 0.05. Yeah, that's more like it. There we go. Isn't this wonderful? All right. And then our shape over here, where we merge it, let's see. Try to turn on point display node. And of course, you can see the number of points. And at some point, I think these guys have to be fused, because I don't know if this will solve the problem, but let's attempt it. Because you'll notice, especially where they meet, when you come to the poly wire, you'll notice that kind of gap which is left. So let's just see if this can be fixed. If you come to the merge node and select the point display, to fuse the joints there so that they really become one, we're going to right click and then NURBS and look for join. Turn on join. If you turn on rep to less edit, no. Key primitives, You see, that's why I said, yeah, you have to be careful. Multiplicity, nah, this messes it up. Okay. Nah, this doesn't work, okay? If we try maybe knobs, let's see, stitch. Yeah, something has changed there with the polygon count. Let's see what happens when you add a poly wire. It still ignores them. Okay, never mind. I thought it was gonna solve the problem. Okay, let's see. If you park this aside, if you add instead a polygon wireframe, let's see what will happen. There we go. The wireframe does the job. So we don't need the poly wire. You can delete it and instead use the wireframe. Okay. It does it very well. And of course it's got the radius. Remember what we had to do? We had to come to the tube central and copy its second radius. Go back there and then come here and then paste, multiply by 0.05. Yeah, to give us that beautiful look. And you can see, of course, at least this one completely fills up the gaps that might have been left. Oops. And of course, by now, yeah, please get rid of, if you had a convert line lower in the queue, please delete it, okay? We don't need it. And then move these nodes here into place. And let's just do this. Yeah. And there we go. You see, they even have, of course, a nice UV mapping. So this is, of course, outlines. There we go. Very nice stuff. So then, after having done all this hard work, by the way, of course, we're just left with one problem. The top here, you see that top, needs to be raised a bit higher. Okay? So let's fix that quickly. Don't worry, it's not it won't take us too long. Let's come here and then display the points. Okay? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to select the set of points that can be pushed upwards. No, we don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. Let's do this. While we are here, yeah. Just after we've deleted it, we're going to add a transform node. Manipulate transform. Yeah. And we're going to shift it upwards like that. No, that destroys the mesh. Sorry about that. Let's do that. Yeah, let's do that. It's fine. Raise it up. And then, of course, that means we have to rejoin our object here. So we go back to the editing mode. And then we template the transform node. Zoom in here. Switch to the front view because we need accuracy. And hide other objects. Oops, hide other objects. Yeah. And then here, we're going to move again based on the point snapping. And there we go. Join it like that. Nice and simple. Okay, great stuff. And back out. You don't always have to go up there to find which object is templated so that we can turn off the template. You can just template where you are and template off again. That will turn off any templating. All right. Templating, of course, is that ghost look. Now we can, of course, ghost other objects. Now they're all back. Wonderful. All right. So we are then going to focus on finishing the look before we then do the
get yourself
texturing.
Subscribe to my YouTube channel, to my Facebook page, to my Twitter, to my Instagram, because I'll be keeping all those platforms regularly updated as content comes through and so forth, so that you guys can know what I'm busy with, which kind of hardware I'm working on, or which kind of project I'm working on. That, of course, you also get to feel like, you know what, there's another artist out there who is also, active. All right.